Hello, YouTube. I'm back. Okay, well, today I decided to make a video about just job searching because I'm looking for a job. And then I wanted to do a little mix of some other topics about loving yourself, and also there's something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember. Oh, yeah, I got some feedback on one of my videos, and basically, I was told it's a little bit too long and it's really time consuming to absorb all that information at once. So I'm going to try my best to keep it at 30 minutes and under. And if there are more things I need to cover, I'll just cut it off and then make another video. So and just flow with the topic, right? Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is job search. I am looking for work. Now, I'm certified to do administrative work. I'm a certified administrative professional, and I also have project management skills. Um, do I want to work in an office? Yes, I like working in an office. I don't mind working in a large corporation, a small office, a medium-sized business. That's no problem. Uh, I really One thing I've been longing to do for a very long time is something that I love and I'm very passionate about, and that's event planning. I love doing events. I love event planning. I love creating events. I love seeing customers, happy at the outcome. I love the process of events. And that's something that I'm really interested in, and all kinds of events. And what's exciting about event planning is that you always have something, even though you're on the back end doing the back work, it's always something exciting that's going on because you're planning for some new event and stuff like that. I've been out of event planning for a very long time, and it's been years, and I've literally forgotten everything. So I think I might do something like a 1 day internship, just to a 1 day internship. And then the other thing that I'm thinking about is maybe like look for work. I was thinking maybe like part-time work in the restaurant industry, because what's great about the restaurant industry in New York, is that you get to meet like a lot of incredible people, and that's something that I was always a very social person. And then for a little while, because I lost my way, I'm just time checking. Uh, a little while because I lost my way. You know, it's interesting because there's a group chat, right? But every time I send a message, I never see anyone else in the group chat. Okay? Okay, so that's kind of strange. I wonder if I'm missing something here. Perhaps. Yeah. I said hi. There's one viewer. Okay, so hi, viewer. Thank you for joining me. Hey. Okay, so yeah. So what I was thinking about is probably, working part time in a restaurant, maybe like a really nice restaurant. Um, and I'm gonna start looking for work in a I love the restaurant industry. It's just something that I've always loved. I love the restaurant industry. It's not necessarily something that I would do into my senior years, but I love the restaurant industry, and I've always loved the restaurant industry because it's a great place to meet so many different people. When I was in the restaurant industry, I worked with uh, I worked with one of the top chefs in the world. I was a hostess and a reservationist at his facility, and this man, to me, he was one of the most incredible bosses. I'm not going to call his name because he may not like it, uh, but his place was so. It was so. What was amazing about his place, and I worked in some amazing places in New York, what was amazing about his place was that you got to meet, I mean, it was so incredible, you got to meet from Prince the pauper, it's like, I mean, what I mean? Like your average everyday person, coming in from the Midwest and they're new to New York, and then at the same time, you would meet like some big politician. I actually met Robert Kennedy Jr. at his place. Uh, I forgot his name. This Indian steel magnate, Mittal. It's been so many years. Mittal, I think is the last name. Mittal, that billionaire family from India. Then it's like multi-millionaire pastors. It's like, oh my God. So what I love about the restaurant industry, and many people look down on the restaurant industry, but for me, I loved it. I loved hostessing. I absolutely adore hostessing. It's kind of like, okay, Renetta, maybe you should do this and you should do that and you should, do this and whatever. You should go here. You should, I loved hostessing. I loved it because it was just like it's an art form, hostessing. It's really an amazing art form. You have to be charming, you have to look good, you have to like, you have to know your clients. Like when they walk in the door, there are certain clients like you have to know them, know who they are, know where they're from, know their table, know what they like. I mean, I loved hostessing because it's really, really, really an art form, and being able to like, let's say, like one of the, I remember like some crazy days, when like some of these, regular guests that are like these big shots or whatever, and they just show up, and you have to like, and someone is sitting at their favorite table and, you have to like, okay, fire the table and like, like, I mean, I loved it. I just loved hostessing. I just love meeting the people. You have to be charming. You have to have great personality. It's not just, you look, it's not just about looking beautiful or whatever, but you have to, hostessing is a real art form. And it's something I missed, when I was in hibernation, I want to say hi to you guys, but it's a damn shame because I said hi there and I'll figure out the group chat later. So you got to forgive me, guys. I'll figure out what's going on with this, how you can chat and get feedback, right? So anyway, so like, so that's something that I'm really thinking about, like going back into the hosting in the restaurant industry, just even if it's temporarily, and possibly working and possibly doing like an internship, to get back the feel for event planning, because I really want to get back. I love event planning. It's something that I love doing. I love events. So that's what I'm thinking about for job search. If not, then I'm just going to go back into your traditional administrative work in a corporation with the government or with a small company or something like that, which is actually far more stable, but it's not necessarily like, that thrill, that you get, I just love the excitement of meeting new people coming in and out, knowing different personalities, knowing what they want, knowing what they like, just being able to like, I mean, I just love the restaurant scene, and like the really, the really, really good restaurants, where it's like, it's the, it's all about the scene, and when a person looks amazing and they walk in the room and it's just like everyone is just like, like, oh my God, this person is so beautiful and they're so fabulous. And it's, I mean, I miss it. So it's something that I'm really thinking about getting back into. And tell me what you think about that. Okay, so that's my job search. So it's either I go back into the restaurant industry and I'm going back there with two things in mind, just part-time work, and also not just, part-time work, but just like part-time work and possibly getting my foot back in the door with and redeveloping my skills with event planning, so that's the first thing. Or I just apply to, work in corporations or businesses and work in an office, so tell me what you think. And it's obviously it's all temporary because, it's just temporary until I get other things completed, Okay, So today's topic, hi guys, thank you for joining me. I see you guys, and it's like people are popping in, popping out. I have to figure out how to use, and I keep forgetting to do this, how to use the chat room because I sent a message on the chat. I said hi there, but I don't see enter chat message or link here. But I don't see any of your responses. So it says chat group chat, but okay, so I'll figure that one out. I think it's probably you have to use like, anyway. Okay, we'll figure that out later, right? Okay, so what do I want to talk about today? Today's topic I want to speak about is fighting yourself. How we fight ourselves, huh? How we fight ourselves in a negative way that hinders us from succeeding, right? And how we can fight for ourselves, which would help us to accomplish the things that we want to do. And the first thing about the first aspect about fighting for yourself and fighting yourself is staying in your lane. Now, many people are going to say, okay, what is staying in your lane? Okay, to put it in layman's terms, it means MYOB, minding your own business. And that's a very difficult thing to do for a lot of people because it's much easier to look at someone else's mistakes, okay, and someone else's suffering and be like, whew, thank God that's not me, you know? So staying in your lane, how can you fight for yourself and stop fighting against yourself by staying in your lane? You have to, again, it goes back to the whole notion of loving yourself, right? You have to understand, as you know, the older you get, you have to become more and more aware of the things that you like and the things that you don't. Okay. And the things that you like, you know, you have to outline the things that you like. And in order to better understand the things that you like and the things that you want to do, it requires that you spend time getting to know yourself. And you can't spend time getting to know yourself if you're focused on what everyone else is doing. So that's the whole concept of staying in your lane. Okay. And why is it that when we don't stay in our lane, okay, we fight against ourselves? It doesn't mean that you become a hermit and you don't, you don't involve yourself in other people's affairs all the time. No, you need, life is about relationships, life is about people, life is about, there are conflicts in life. There's, you have to resolve conflicts in life. You have to, you meet people. So, but what I'm getting at when I say staying in your lane is that not every fight, not every battle, okay, is for you to enter. Not every fight is for you to fight, and not every battle is for you to enter. And sometimes entering into certain battles, okay, would be fighting against yourself. Fighting against yourself. Right? And how so? For example, let's say, the latest juicy gossip on Susie do no good. You got, Susie, whatever, the latest gossip about Susie do no good, reaches your ears. But that's going to cause a conflict for you, later on down the road. You have to ask yourself, is this something that I want to engage in? If it's going to cost me down the road, later on. So, I mean, that's just an example. But the point is, again, what do we do? What things do we do that cause us to fight against our own success? And what can we do to fight for ourselves? And one of the things I've been learning is that not because you're fighting for yourself, it means that you're selfish or you're narcissistic or you're not going to fight for other people. No, it just simply means that I have to put me first. And this is going to affect a lot of people in a lot of ways, because a lot of, especially in the United States, Christians are programmed. I'm not saying this is a negative thing. This is an observation. You're programmed to put other people before yourself. You're programmed to give to other people before yourself. But the conflict of interest arises when it's time for your needs to be met. How many of those people reciprocate? And I'll say this for me. When I follow that doctrine, and then they respond by saying, you don't give to receive. So here's my question. Why do you take it if you know you're not going to reciprocate? Why do you take it if when you give, you don't give to receive? Then if you know you're not going to give in return, why do you take it? You have to give to receive. You have to give. Life is about sharing. And this is another way in which we fight ourselves and fight our success. When we give without an expectation that one day I may have lack and I may need you that I'm investing in today. I'm investing in you today. My time, my efforts, my money, whatever, into you today. Okay? Because one day in the future, God forbid, I may need you to reinvest in me. So the point is, in Christianity, we're taught that you don't give to receive, except when you give your tithes and offerings. That's the only time you give to receive. But when you're giving up anything else, you don't give to receive. But I said that's contradictory to nature, because everything in nature gives to receive. Okay, look, for example, we're complaining about carbon emissions, right? Why is carbon emissions a problem? CO2. Oh my God, we have excess CO2. It's going to kill us. It's this, it's that, it's the other. Why do we have excess CO2? You know why? Because we do not use the law of give and take. We cut down all the trees. We cut down all the trees, and we don't replant forests as fast as we're cutting them down, and then we're surprised, oh my God, we have high levels of CO2. It's gonna kill us. So what do? Create laws where we get taxes to cut CO2 instead of giving back to the very source, nature, right? Giving back to the very source that we took from, the law of give and take. So this is how we, not understanding the law of give and take, you give to get. It may not be to get now, but I am investing in you. So hopefully one day in the future, if I have lack, you would be there for me. If I'm investing in you today, in your future today, okay, so that you could be on an even footing. And maybe if one day, and you may not need it in the future, but if perchance one day in the future, I have lack, you can reinvest in me. So that's one of the components about fighting for yourself, okay? The first component is staying in your lane. And in order to stay in your lane, you have to spend time with yourself and understand, what do I like versus what I don't like. And you cannot spend so much time looking at what everyone else is doing and not spend an equal amount of time on what you need to do, right? So staying in your lane. The second one is the law of reciprocity, okay? When you give, it doesn't mean that you give begrudgingly, like, oh my God, I'm giving you this now because I expected 10 years from now and you better give it to me because otherwise I'm gonna. No, it just simply means, look, I am investing in you in your time of need. If perchance I may be in a time of need now, I hope that you would remember me and you would assist me in my time of need. Okay? That's like a farmer planting a seed in the ground and he expects a crop. What is the purpose? What is the purpose for the farmer to put a seed in the ground and not expect a return? That's the same thing with giving. So the notion that you give of your time, of your efforts, of your energy, not to receive is no good. And that understanding is fighting against yourself. So to change that, you have to give with hopes that if you need it, this person would be there for you. If you give, this person would be there for you. If you don't hold it, I'm not saying that you hold it, hold it to their necks. What I'm saying is that this person would be there for you. And if in turn you don't need it, they have no obligation, right? Okay. And then the third thing about fighting for yourself is, I have 9 more minutes. I'm going to stick to my point. The third part about fighting for yourself is becoming your own cheerleader. One of the hardest things in life, and we are becoming a more narcissistic society. Okay, it's becoming more and more narcissistic where people literally just do not care about anyone else but themselves. Okay, and we have to understand that society is becoming more and more narcissistic. And what can we do about society becoming more and more narcissistic? It's very different for you to be empathic or empathetic in a society that's becoming more and more narcissistic. So, becoming your own cheerleader. This is one of the ways in which you have to fight for yourself. Becoming your own cheerleader, because there's going to be times when you have no one to root for you. There's going to be times when people you thought who were on your side, you find yourself in a situation and people you thought were on your side were secretly against you. People, you thought that were rooting for you were secretly not on your side, and you find yourself climbing that mountaintop alone and no one's there to root for you. So the third part in fighting for yourself, the third dynamic in fighting for yourself is becoming your own cheerleader. And it's simple. If you can cook well, it doesn't mean that you become narcissistic and be like, okay, I am the best at everything and you're no good, and you always have to put someone down or you always have to let someone know how great you are. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, quietly look at your successes, look at the things that you're good at, and pat yourself on the back. Because sometimes your body, your mind, your body, and your spirit, it needs a pick-me-up. It needs to be picked up. It needs some positive energy. You need a cheerleader. You have your angel on one side and your devil on one side, and the devil's voice on this side seems to be much louder than that angel. Sometimes you have to pat yourself on the back and say, I did a good job. Because there may not be someone else there to tell you. And in life, a person must be rewarded for the good they do. It is just the way the universe is designed. When someone does something, when someone feeds the universe, when someone gives something back into the universe that can benefit the universe, that can benefit humanity, it is absolutely abhorrent that the universe does not give them positive energies back. It is absolutely abhorrent. So the third point is becoming your own cheerleader. If you know you can cook well, if you know you cook well, or some people have a gift for cleaning. If you know you're really good at cleaning, you can take something and polish it up and make it look like it's brand new. Or you can cook really well, or you can sew well, or you're really good at mathematics or science or reading or writing or whatever. It's okay. Pat yourself on the back. Because we live in a society that tells us, it's very, very strange. We live in a society that tells us that the only people we should look up to are celebrities, right? But if we decide to pat ourselves on the back, oh, you shut up because you're narcissistic. We live in a society that tells us every single day, the world has, oh, Mark Zuckerberg is the youngest billionaire. Bill Gates is becoming a trillionaire. There are 8 people on the planet who controls 50% of the world's wealth. And it tells us, Forbes' richest 500 people. And you're not on that list. Okay, this is the dress of that millionaire wives wear. This is the makeup that millionaire wives wear. And we're constantly bombarded about the greatness of other people, right? But when we get to our greatness, no, you shut up and sit over there. We don't want to hear about you. But we're constantly bombarded with the greatness of other people. But it's a crime for us to enjoy our greatness, becoming your own cheerleader. Yeah? Okay, guys. So today's topic was my job search. And tell me what you think. I'm not going into the restaurant industry, like 20 years out into the future. Or maybe I might, who knows, But again, job search, I'm really considering that because I just really need to meet some nice, interesting people. I'm just not gonna let negativity keep me down. I'm just not. It never has and it never will. Okay. Fighting for yourself. And lastly, I leave you with this. If no one told you today, you are a winner. Okay? Bye, guys. Thank you.